Now, there's no doubt about it that by far, one of the most anticipated Star Wars TV shows of this year, hands down, is the Ahsoka Tano series starring Rosario Dawson, as well as, of course, Iman Asfandi, that's going to portray Ezra Bridger in a very big way that's going to have a lot of storytelling reveals about, of course, Grand Admiral Thrawn, a new Dark Jedi, all these different aspects. However, when it all comes down to, of course, John and Dave, they have something bigger at play here behind the scenes. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about John, George, and Dave is that they really are creating a specific structure when it comes to the Mandoverse and its surrounding spin-offs. We already know that Favreau wants to do great and amazing things for the character of Luke Skywalker and what's on the horizon for him, and exactly how they're going to be able to improve the character and base him off of Luke Skywalker from Star Wars Legends back in the 1990s and throughout the 2000s, even leading into the early 2010s, because Legends technically ended in 2013. Now, with that being all done and said, what's really exciting is exactly what Favreau had to say about his stance on the middle point of the sequel trilogy, specifically The Last Jedi, and it's not all that great. And a lot of creators are beginning to come forward more and more, be it Hollywood producers, Hollywood writers, talking more and more about how the sequel trilogy did not have a consistent flow, if you will, of positivity within the franchise and within the fandom. Now, moving on beyond all of this, right now the Disney board members have been worried about Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, and also very excited, on the other hand, about John and Dave's dedicated projects. Now, with Favreau more talkative lately with the fandom, he went on to spill his true feelings about The Last Jedi and Rian Johnson's direction with the character of Luke. Favreau went on to say the following: "To be honest, I want to respect Rian and all because I know how it can be as a writer, a director, and a creator sometimes. But I would have never done what he did with Luke, especially at the middle point of a trilogy as big as it was. You see, I think the problem many fans had, including myself, as that fans were anticipating the mysterious character so much for 2 whole years, after only getting a tease of him in the first one, and what they got was disappointing in The Last Jedi. And I would have done so many things differently. I was not a fan of his direction at all, and myself and Mark talk about this all the time, over how the film needed more focus to telling a quality-driven story and not trying to be so different for some kind of surprise that were out of the ordinary." So let me just stop here for a second. So, Favreau makes 2 valid points here, and the reason being that fans had so many problems with Luke, the way that he was treated in The Last Jedi, it wasn't necessarily just how Rian Johnson wrote him and how he was treated in the movie, but I think even Favreau has a more valid point here, is that it was the build-up of the character for 2 whole years that led to a massive disappointment. Again, The Force Awakens, we only got like 2 minutes worth of Luke, maybe even less than that, and we had to wait all the way throughout 2016 and 2017 until we were able to see Luke Skywalker on the big screen in true fashion. And Rian Johnson failed the fans. Now, some fans actually respect Rian's work. They like what he did in The Last Jedi, and hey, listen, you like what you like. Nobody has the right to change your mind or really kind of attempt to try that. That's never gonna happen. Let's just be clear. Nobody can change anybody's mind. So if you like The Last Jedi, if you don't like it, that's fine. But this is the main reason, by the way, why Jon Favreau joined The Mandalorian, or at the time, the first live-action Star Wars series that was untitled, is because he had a lot of problems with The Last Jedi. He did not like the storyline, he did not like how Luke was used, And basically he wanted to join in to eventually build things up to bringing Luke back in true fashion. That's why, believe it or not, Jon Favreau actually brought Luke back in Season 2, the perfect moment, 1 whole year after Episode 9 released. In late 2020, it was the best surprise of all. I think that December of 2020 was probably the best month of Star Wars in a very long time. To have Luke make that entrance, 3 o'clock in the morning for most people across the board watching this thing, it was amazing. So, when you look at stuff like this, alright, of how Favreau's putting it out there that he would have done things so differently, and how he does not agree with Rian Johnson, he does not agree with how the story was made, and how he even puts it out there that they weren't necessarily focused on quality, they were focused on making the movie feel so different. And that was a big mistake. You know, I think that at the end of the day, that was the big mistake. So moving to the next thing of what Favreau has to say, he goes on to elaborate. I have no personal issues with Rian, but his film really took a focus away from the community, and that's something myself and Dave are trying to revive with the slate of shows that we have coming up. The structure of this film was too out of place for me to approve totally as a creator. I wish all the best though with Rian and his Knives Out series. I have actually grown to love those films, so good on him. And you see, that's what I like about Favreau. Let's be clear. It's clear that he does not like The Last Jedi. He hates the movie, obviously. He does not have he does not advocate the movie or Rian Johnson's work. But he's not dissing Rian as a person, as a creator per se, directly. You can see what he's doing there. He always finds a way to kind of bounce things back to a more positive way of putting things out there. He's showing fans that Rian at least has some kind of respected work out there, like Knives Out and stuff like that. I myself do not like, Rian Johnson's work, and I've stated this multiple times. I do not like The Last Jedi. I was not the biggest fan of how he really just did not have the best PR. And what I'm talking about PR is I'm talking about the interviews. How he always says that he's not sorry about what he did, he stands by his decisions, he does not care about what the fans think. He even has an old interview, we talked about this, that he always loved a movie that really creates fans coming out of the theaters that either hate it and love it. And that was the problem. You could see that old interview and how he kind of used that mindset into The Last Jedi. There's no doubt about it. So overall, there's a lot of problems that arise out of Episode 8. And it's stuck with fans for years upon years. Can you believe it's been that long already? Since 2017 of December? It's crazy how fast this time flies by. But anyways, I'm really intrigued to hear what you guys have to say about Favreau's comments here below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.